you know what you clicked on. You probably read the title, so I'm not going to waste your time with a long introduction. Let's get right into my first run of the Archangel Death Scourge. So directly in the minion nodes, uh, as I've been saying for the last 3 days on Discord, the nodes are not that difficult. I checked on MSF.gg 3 days ago. I looked at the first two nodes on difficulty 8, which is what I'm playing right now, and well, frankly, the strongest base stat character is Phantom X on the second node with like 370,000 health and 12 or 13,000 base damage. Like, those are the base stats on these first two nodes. So, really, don't overestimate it. This is difficulty 8, and those stats are that low. So, yeah, it's not that hard, especially with the mega boosted minions from the Scourges. Obviously, you have plus 30% to, I think it's health, damage, focus, crit chance, crit damage, active healing, and revive one's health, I think. That's really powerful. Furthermore, you have the revive once in itself, and the one that flips all negative effects on turn for minions, which stacks with, I believe it's called Too Clever, the one that gives you ability block on every special ability. The Scourge that flips debuffs on minions is going to change every ability block to an evade, so my minions are constantly getting ability blocked from their own specials, which is going to be constantly getting flipped to evade, and you'll see their specials happen very often because Bruiser, Riot Guard, and Lieutenant have 2 ability energy cooldown specials, Stitcher and Boomers are 3 energy, and Merc Lieutenant is spamming speed up on his special and ability energy on his basic. So this is a very strong minion team. The Scourges benefit them greatly. There really isn't that much else to mention for missions 1 and 2. I think most minions will just ride the effect of the strong Scourges and push through these nodes without much difficulty. Although, with the level investment mine are at, they don't have a particularly amazing damage output outside of my Blue 3 Striker, Ravager, Stitcher. So it's a bit of an endurance fight that relies a bit on the 30% active healing bonus from that one Scourge. This first node took me about 5 minutes on this first run, so I'm gonna speed through the rest of it and possibly most of mission 2 as well. For the second mission, I'm not going to say much. I'm just going to put the entire thing playback on 2 or 4x speed because it's more of the same stuff. It's just more of the minions relying on the powerful Scourges powering through these missions against scaled down enemies. It's not that complicated. We can move on to mission 3. For the hero restricted missions 3 and 4, there is a wide selection to choose from. I have chosen Eternals with Weaver, Storm, and Magic because, well, the node isn't that difficult, so it's a good time to build up charges on Storm and Magic for mission 6. Weaver is here to just blind yo-yo for one turn, so that Icarus's ult will literally destroy the entire first wave, which we're about to see. And then after that, it's just carefully using basics to get as much energy towards Magic's ult, which is only 3 energy, and as much charges as we can on Storm as preparation for mission 6. Aside from that, there's not much else to mention for my strategy on this mission as of now. We can move on to mission 4. For mission 4, I'm once again using Weaver in the Eternals, however this time with Red Hulk and Star-Lord. I apologize for making a jump cut. I have spliced out several sections of the recording so that I don't spend unnecessary time on things like trial and error or restarting or team loading, etc. Anyway, with that said, for this mission, all I'm really doing is trying to charge Red Hulk to 5 charges or feed him energy with Star-Lord and taking turns so that I have his ultimate ability ready when I get to the first of the legendary nodes. We'll see why that's important or helpful later, but otherwise, that's pretty much it for mission 4. The Eternals, Weaver, and Red Hulk are so strong that they'll get through this mission with ease and hopefully get Red Hulk's Meteor Crash ready for mission 8. For mission 5, my first intuition was that it would be most conducive to War Dogs, and in particular, Black Panther's passive kill and rolling speedbar mechanic. I think I was right, but I also think that the ideal strategy on this mission can probably change a lot depending on which Scourges you bring. For my first run here, what I decided to do, I think, was the best play with what I had, which was to get rid of Mighty Thor as quickly as possible to avoid any possibility of the War Dogs opening buffs getting flipped, and then leaving 4 enemies alive so that wave 2 wouldn't spawn in yet, and I could build up a sizable momentum or speed bar advantage. When we get to mission 10, I think that the best team to attack with there first is going to be Bionic Avengers, in the way that Web Warriors go to mission 5 and Morgan Le Fay's Pestilence event, followed by Dark Hunters going into mission 10 and then Web Warriors cleanup. I think this is going to be a similar situation where War Dogs are optimal for mission 5 and the Bionics are better for an opening salvo on mission 10, followed by a War Dogs or Wakandan cleanup. And with that said, I think I played my cooldowns a bit too conservatively here, worrying a lot about the state of my abilities. The amount I would end up using them in mission 10 would be a lot less than I'd anticipated. That said, I think we can move on to the most testy and testing challenge of this Scourge, which is the non-legendary mutant section, missions 6 and 7. Before talking about mission 6, I do want to mention as a quick side note, prior to starting Mission 6, I did collect all the milestone rewards and opened a few gold orbs so that I could unlock Archangel before starting this mission, even though he's not used here. What is used here is Storm, Emma, Gambit, and Magic. I use this team here because, well, I've charged up Storm and Magic in that earlier Heroes node, and there's a surprisingly good amount of synergy here with Beast doubling as an Uncanny X-Men for Magic and Storm. Gambit gives all the X-Men here max health, and Magic gives all of them drain, and Beast also allows Storm to retain charges after her special, which you just saw stun the enemy field. Of course, some of the stuns and slows did get flipped into counter and speed up by the minion Scourges, but ultimately it doesn't matter too much. The other thing of note here is that you want to leave the node in pretty much the same status as you started it. When I entered this node, I had Storm on nearly max charges and her special ready, and that's the same opening that we're going to throw into the next wave, hopefully alongside Beast ult and Gambit ult. On to Mission 7. So for Mission 7, I followed in with the exact same team as the previous node and managed to make it work. Because I have Storm Special ready on max charges, I was able to once again attempt to stun an entire wave, and if you do use this strategy, you can reset until Storm's stun actually lands on Captain Sam. After that, it's really just throw out damage, mostly with Gambit, as well as manage control, particularly magic, buff clears, and barrier Emma's controller abilities very carefully, and save Gambit's charge, and only use a special for the first time once someone really important to shut off like Sharon or Maria drops in. Spoiler alert, Storm and Magic do not survive this attack. I could have restarted for a cleaner run, but for a first trial run, I didn't really care all that much, and Storm and Magic are also only level 75, so it's possible that them being alive would have actually dealt less damage and had to have taken more turns than just Beast and Gambit alone. For mission 8 and 9, I think in the future, everyone is just going to be running the 4 Horsemen with Omega Red for the foreseeable future. However, right now my Archangel is not strong enough to survive this level of challenge, so I switched him out for Nick Fury. Nick Fury is here to give a quick speed bar advantage, which provides a window of opportunity to shut off Zombie Iron Man and Gambit, while Nick Fury draws all the hits from Gambit's passive and Zombie Iron Man's mind control passive. Hela is shut off by the gamma radiation. It's why I wanted it off the start. And then Hela will die before Zombie Iron Man, so we don't have to worry about any revives. After that, it's really just, the three prior Horsemen and Omega Red are already extremely powerful, even without Archangel. So we just let them run the show, and it's not much of a challenge. There really isn't much to comment about Mission 9. It's very similar to Mission 8, where, the super strong legendaries kind of just run an easy show. But I guess I can also say that I do bring an Archangel for this one. Um, there's no like zombie Iron Man or Gambit or other method of pinging him, which makes it very easy for him to actually stay alive and do a good amount of work, particularly with his passive ability to rewind enemies whenever one of them dies. I really don't think there's that much to say here other than that. I'll just let the video speak for itself and move on to Mission 10. As I've stated before, I imagine Mission 10, the finale of the Death Scourge here, is going to be very similar to that of Pestilence, where the optimal strategy is probably going to be to have both available attacking teams built so that you can go for a 2-tap. Here, Bionic Avengers are obviously the best team to start with, since with Wakandans, Echo would shut off Okoye's assists, and furthermore, Bionics have a couple more tricks up their sleeve, such as Viv's entire row length blind, and this other trick that you can see I just used, reset this match until Ghost Spider targets someone on the edge. I highly, highly recommend this because if Ghost Spider chains slows across your entire team by starting at the end, that's a bunch of slows that Viv can flip into 2-turn speed ups. It's so helpful to have those speed ups for when Rogue and the second wave drops in, because having those speed ups gives you a much better window, much better opportunity to put control abilities on her with Hulkbuster ult to slow, Iron Man basic to defense down, your 3 options for ability block, Viv special, Vision special, or Deathlock ult, and of course Iron Man special to extend any of those negative effects you may have landed on Rogue. I think that's how most Bionic Avenger primary attacks are going to have to go or look like, because, Rogue is obviously the biggest threat on this node, and dealing as much damage as you can with the Bionic opening salvo is what you're going to want to do. I don't know what an ideal Wakandan or War Dog cleanup attack will look like, because thankfully I did not have to use one here. I luckily found an order to use my heavy attacks in such that I could one-shot the node. However, I think a Wakandan or War Dog follow-up attack is going to have to either not deal with Rogue at all, in essence that she's already dealt with, or have her so low that they can kill her before she deals any major harm. That's about all of my thoughts on the Death Scourge and my initial impressions so far. You can stick around to see the 202 Scourge points I chose for my first run. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I hope you found the video helpful or entertaining some way. You can let me know what you think using comments or other feedback options below. And maybe check back in next week when hopefully I have some more refined strategies and ideas to share.